What is up, YouTube? One of the most exciting players in the world right now plays a bit of an underrated character that now people are starting to say is broken because of this player's success. So I want to welcome Big D to the channel.
Hello everyone, happy to be here.
Obviously, people have known you for a long time. You were exciting in Smash 4, people knew you in Brawl, but obviously this level of notoriety is very different. So how does it feel being one of the most well-known and popular players nowadays?
It's been kind of a gradual change a bit. I think at the start it was like, well, got lucky, but all these other people are still kind of like, they're crazy.
Well, like Gommel.
Yeah, Gommel.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of as it transitioned, like for example, if you see MKLeo in the hallway, you're like, I'm giving this guy some extra room. This, I feel the aura, right?
To be fair, they should give you extra room just because you're large, so that's irrelevant. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
That's fair. That's fair. But now it's like kind of, I think especially after Summit, it's like you see them in the hallway and like that's kind of gone. Like I'll say hello, and they'll say hello back. And that's that.
Do you like the change? Do you like the I guess probably I would assume more people come up to you as a fan of your play. How's that been?
I think I've had people come up to me before, even before I kind of got bigger, but now I think it's just the same but more.
Fair enough.
And it's cool. It's in my head, I'm still a little starstruck. Fatality walks into a room, like, oh my god, it's Fatality. But it's made things. At first I thought it made the world feel small, but it's kind of now you kind of have almost the full picture of.
I feel like I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
it is. It's one of those when some people come up to you, it used to be the people that played Ice Climbers, or the people that have seen your regional success, but then as opposed to going to a major and suddenly not only are you clearly visible because you are probably the tallest person in the room at most tournaments, unless Studebaker's there. But then also more people are coming up to you, and it's even if it's more people, so you just more sometimes feel like it's going to happen, but then it's still wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it doesn't feel that much different. It's just more these things happen more often, and that's about it.
That's fair. To get into the gameplay questions, what made you, especially over the pandemic, but just Ultimate has so many characters, what made you pick and stick with Ice Climbers with all of the always seen as broken characters? Ice Climbers were never really seen as a super good character. My bad if I pushed the propaganda on that one, and then they got buffed obviously during quarantine. But how did you stay motivated to play such a difficult character?
I got a couple of beliefs, but as I played Brawl. You played Brawl. Icy's fans, I'm very nostalgic for that game, and I played Icy's there. Just with that in mind, at the start of this game, I was actually playing DDD.
Character sucks.
Yeah, I was playing DDD, but at the start, heavies are pretty good.
Yeah.
They start good, and then they get worse.
Because everyone's messing up everything. I mean, K-Rool was top 10 week 2.
Exactly. So I think what kind of caused the start of this shift, or what maybe pick up Icy's in this game more, is one, they're really fun. And I think if you find a character fun, you're more likely to stick with them and get over stuff, as opposed to if I lose with a character and now all of a sudden I'm thinking about what my next character pickup's gonna be. I think I felt I want to stick it out with Icy's. Two, from DDD, I was fighting Captain L, and at the start of this game he was Pichu, and Pichu is a button monster when he's close to you.
Yes, especially pre-patch Pichu.
Yeah, and I was playing DDD at the time, so in my head I was well, I need a character with better buttons, and Icy's kind of have the best buttons.
They're really good buttons.
Yeah, and fast forward, that matchup's considered horrendous for Pichu, so I feel I made the right call on that one.
So it kind of was regional pressure, plus, oh, you like this character anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started bringing it up more in tournaments, and it was turning out that my ICs were kind of starting to do better than my actual DDD. And so that kind of just made that shift where it's just okay. And then the final thing was I've got some people in my match who were playing tough matchups against me. Found Pyramithra really difficult at the start, for example, Joker. Right. And then I was trying picking up secondaries, and it worked at the start. but then they got better at the matchup, and my secondaries weren't improving at the rate of their secondaries.
Gotcha.
So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it all ICs, and then in the end, I think that was kind of where that really pushed me, was sticking with it. So altogether, that's kind of why I'm like all ICs, no secondaries.
That's honestly understandable. I kind of wish I had that mindset before, but I am a complainer. But like, just to kind of piggyback off of that, like, you have an amazing resilience to bad matchups. I mean, I went up to you after you beat Rocky, and I was like, how did you beat Ice Climbers Pac-Man? And you were like, oh, just like forward tilt and ice block and just be patient. And like, I feel like you are constantly okay with pushing exactly what you can do in every single matchup, in the bad matchups. How do you feel like that has translated to the matchups that like aren't that bad, that are a little easier, that your tools actually make sense, as opposed to you having to find a way to use your tools to not get destroyed?
I think the reason you ask is you probably have a feeling that, yeah, it makes it feel a lot easier. I remember one time, a player in my region, I guess they went like full Campy Sora ledge plank the whole bit.
Oh, nice.
Right? And I haven't played them before, and I guess everyone was like, Dawson, you're not ready for this, right? And I guess in my head, I was like, oh man, the things I've seen. I think a planking Sora
yeah. It's so funny when people are like, oh, this degenerate strategy exists in this game, and then the Brawl vets are like, this is degenerate? It's annoying. It's not. Come on. Like, we know way better than this.
Yeah, exactly. So it does help. It's you may not notice it at first, but then like a lot of matchups do seem easier after that. And the concepts like transfer. Like if you can parry like a Sephiroth forward area, you can parry something that's like shorter range.
Yeah, like a Falcon Nair or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day before you started, popping off and doing amazing, and then the Japanese ice climbers that have been doing better recently. A lot of people thought of ice climbers as this touch of death, I'm gonna hit you once off of a desync or off of a grab and then kill people. And you sometimes do that, right? I feel like your longest combos are like the Blizzard forward air combos. And obviously you have your kill setups, but what made you, I feel like, not focus as much on the like potential theory combo 0 to death type things, and more so just like, I'm gonna hope I win neutral or advantage harder, because like as a labber myself, I couldn't imagine not trying to just learn the 0 to deaths and try to get them as much as possible. And you seem to just play a lot more simply. Like, what, I guess, why?
I don't think it was ever like a hard decision. I think just what I like or what attracts me about this game is kind of like the neutral or the positions. I played like Mario Falcon and Smash 4.
They were nasty.
And they were nasty, right? And they had like huge punish games. But even then with those, I just kind of just played my neutral and was good.
Okay.
Or not, well, I was good, like was happy with that. I definitely think ice climbers are definitely the sort of character that will like attract people who are like ultimate labbers, get the huge thing. Whereas I'm more of attracted because from nostalgia and just like kind of finding the neutral fun with 2 climbers.
Gotcha.
But also I kind of in my head the distinction is I feel like when I'm learning, when I'm practicing, and like the stuff that benefits me the most, I feel like is not so much like hitting harder, but if I like go against like a Pac-Man or like a Min, like a Belmont, in my head it's not so much can I hit them harder when I get them, it's more like how do I get them?
Okay.
And how do I not get myself?
Right. So you play more of like the how to hit, and like you play like, again, mostly like the neutral, and then maybe play the advantage from there, but as opposed to like, I'm gonna hit them and kill them. Which, like, obviously, you have I've seen your cheese against Onin with the dash attack, up B. Again, to me, that's Brawl, right? Like, I'm the belay master in that game, so I understand completely going for those reads. But I feel like, it ended up being very beneficial for you in the meta, because I feel like a lot of characters either are hard to combo, or, if you overextend, suddenly you're going to be in disadvantage, and especially as ice climbers, overextending can really mean death. Whereas you just play a lot more solid, and you play, not exactly the same, obviously, when you have both climbers, but I feel like it shows how good you are when you end up playing Popo, and you are similarly playing when you have both climbers. Obviously, side B's different. You know, a couple of you don't have access to desyncs, but it really shows in your Sopo. Do you think that you are the best Sopo in the world? Say yes. You're clearly. Sure, I was like, what the? You're the. Clearly, don't be humble about that.
Truth be told, I don't think the title of best Sopo is too important. For what it's worth, whenever I see like another Ices do like a death combo or like crazy stuff, I'm like, oh my god, that's so impressive. I wish I could do that. I should. It's like, it makes me feel like, damn, I should be doing that, but I'm not doing that.
Right.
And if it's like a laziness on my part, or if it's just like where to put my resources, I don't really know myself.
Understandable. As the, you know, I'm kind of the opposite at the moment, where I'm just like, okay, well, I know how to 0-to-death everyone, and then I'm just getting out-neutraled by these like Wolf and Youngling players. I'm like, what do I do? How do I play neutral? So, you know, it definitely, I feel like a lot of people can run up into the wall, which is why like the most impressive players either have super tight neutral all the time, and also are hitting you really hard. You know, like Spargo's advantage state is insane, but also he just will out-neutral you 9 times out of 10. You are a Smash vet, right? You've been playing for a long, long time. What is your favorite mechanic that is in Ultimate? Because I know a bunch of us old vets are like, oh, I prefer this from this game, and like the ledge from this game. Like, what is your favorite mechanic? It can be Ice Climbers related, but it can also just be general in Ultimate.
You know what? I like the new air dodges. The air dodges are nice.
Okay, like the difference, like the neutral versus directional air dodges and stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
That's nice.
Since you have been making it really far at these tournaments, I mean top 3 at Main Stage, top 3 at Summit, 2nd at Gommel, you have been playing a fair share of players, whether they are top players or just making it farther in brackets, so you're simply playing more sets. Of all of the players, it can even be a local thing, and it doesn't have to be this top player type thing, but who is your #1 favorite player to fight? It can be because you win, it can be because it's just exciting to play. So, like, who is your favorite to fight?
Oh, this is an easy one. It's certainly Ouch. Ouch he's been my demon, but he's also like he's the kind of player who's like wild, and you know, it's I feel like whenever I get my 1 or 2 win here and there, that's like it feels meaningful, because it's just, yeah, I love playing Ouch. He's very fun to fight.
Okay, that is, I mean, hey, when I played JJ, we played in friendlies at the last Battle of BC because I had to play Moxie, and it was very funny because H4 was practicing with Moxie because H4 had to play Ouch. So it was literally just 2 Wolf Pika, like, friendly setups, like 2 TVs away from each other, and it was so much fun to play. He's so good and so fast. Do you feel like, I'm sure this is no, just because of how you are as a person, but do you feel like when there's a bunch of either BC players or just Canadian players in general, do you ever feel like, oh, I want to be like the highest placing one, or is it just like, yay, let's go everyone from Canada?
So let's just go everyone from Canada. It's I think like when you're out of the tournament, you're just like, you're out, but it's like for example, rooting on JJ when he makes it far. I think Battle of BC last year when he took out like all of Japan.
That was insane.
That was so much fun to watch.
The Shootone set,
so, like,
where he got the 3-stock game 5. That was nuts.
Yeah, it's no, I definitely rather BC stay in, whether it be BC against like other regions or Canada against other regions or PS. You know, you always pick and choose whatever one's doing best.
Mm-hmm. Whether it's like P and W because like Justice is still in or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, understandable. So even though you have been doing fantastically, even in a bunch of terrible matchups, it does seem like you have hit a bit of a wall when it comes to 2 matchups in particular, being Min Min and Sephiroth. Although maybe Cloud is worse, I'm not even sure which one's worse, but they seem really obnoxious. What is your, I guess, strategy when it comes to trying to overcome these matchups? And what are your plans, if you don't mind divulging the secrets, for those 2 matchups?
And one, you gotta practice them.
True.
And then as you're practicing them, you gotta be like, what's going on? Min Min, I actually do have a lot of practice. I know I quote unquote, like run into walls. I went into the proto set honestly thinking I could win it. It was tough. He did some things I was not expecting, but
he's different.
So much. Yeah, he is different.
He's so good.
But I got so much practice versus Min Min. When I lose to Justice, it's always game 5, last stock.
Okay.
I have like wins on some like other good Min Mins. Heck, this past weekend I went to Montreal, just practiced against their pretty good midman like Day. So like most midmans, I honestly think I'm fine against.
Okay.
But like Proto is just like that guy, and I guess he's kind of like the guy to beat.
That makes sense. It's like, oh, you know the matchup, you play the best one, you go, oh, I don't know this matchup. I mean, understandable, because like the amount of times that like people have been like, I know the Pikachu matchup, and then I play them, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? So, relatable.
Yeah, but...
Because I feel like a lot of players, just in general, like especially the up-and-coming players, will like see a matchup and like not like something about it, and then just swap character, including myself, because I play Mii Brawler now. But, you know, it's impressive to me to see someone that a character can have such flaws or like such bad matchups, and you just make them look so good that like I kind of wanted to know like how you go about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, Icy's the game plan, I feel like for every matchup is like pretty simple. Basically, you don't get poked until you're close enough, and then you hit them. And you know, whether that poke is from like a projectile character throwing crap at you from across the stage, whether there's a giant sword character, or even just, you know, like a brawler type character just spacing their little moves. You just gotta not get poked. So like, for example, in the case of Min Min, you know, she's got her arms, she fires them across the stage, she does some aerials, right? And then she has her grab once in a while. Min Min, she has her tilts that she can move, she can do 1-2. If she does 1-2, then she's kind of stuck for a little bit, and she basically has to retreat. So if you see that, you can move forward, you're a little closer. If you see a smash attack, you know she's locked on the ground. Maybe you can jump up and side B if you're close enough. If you're just getting poked to the ones, then maybe you gotta get the parry timings down. If they do an aerial, they do 1-2. They do it go up, they're probably coming down with the second one. They're on the ledge. You gotta know like kind of what they can threaten from the ledge. You know, they like to roll the ledge trap and hit them as hard as possible. You know, you gotta be spaced for grabs, ice block. You gotta be able to parry the nair when they come down. So like just kind of having like all these like, okay, this is what they're gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. And then finally, if you see them change it up, you see it differently. They do something you're not expecting, then you gotta take note of that. For Sephiroth, there's a lot of like forward air and like forward tilt. I actually grinded with Mutaking like a ton at Summit. He was giving me Sephiroth practice and advice, and his main thing was saying like Sephiroth is very good at moving backwards but not moving forward, so just take your time,
and like corner him.
Yeah, exactly. And at some points like you can parry aerials. No, like are they going to do forward tilt into side B? Another really good tool that Ices have is, you know, they don't have any arrow ability, but they can jump inside B. So if they are going to whiff a move on the ground, you can punish it by jumping in the air, side B. So just kind of seeing the patterns and trying to like avoid the move while they're doing the move. But I had a lot of good cloud practices last weekend, and I feel like if you can get the back air timings, you can parry those. But overall, you don't really want to interact with it. Ice blocks are also very good. Ice clops like piss off people. So for example, if they're like a zoner or like a Robin, right? Then you know they're trying to you give them something to think about. So ICs just have like all these little tools that like kind of just stops them from getting poked, or maybe like little predictions. But I think it starts with, why am I getting hit? What can I do about it? And then try and get yourself a little closer. And that just, you can probably apply that to like all the matchups.
Very well said. And then like if you do end up getting in, then like Ice Climbers, like their advantage is really good. Their ledge pressure is insane, and then they have to be ready for what you need, like you want to do. And you are probably one of the trickiest players with your setups, because like I feel like when I play against Ice Climbers players, they will like spam their setups, and then I'm just like, okay, yeah, you're gonna do this thing and you're gonna desync. It's fine. Whereas like you pick and choose where you do your like desyncs or your setups a lot more meticulously, and it makes people really scared all the time. And then you kind of condition that fear and then hit them with like forward smashes, or like, oh, of course they're gonna roll from ledge because they're terrified of this trump that I got game one. And it seems like you are like frequently a step ahead of the adaptation, which is something that has been really, really impressive to watch, especially as someone that understands and loves Ice Climbers.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, setups are broad, but I mean, I think you mentioned a few by the ledge, right?
Like the Nana ledge trump, or the, you know, blizzarding with Nana for like baiting a get up attack and you shield his Popo, or the like charge up smash thing with the, I think that's the landing lag desync.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of it is prediction. It's kind of like, okay, you see this move, how are you gonna like what are you gonna react to it? Are you kind of the person who jumps when they're a little worried? Are you just want to get? I think the one people do often is get up attack versus the up smash.
Which is so funny because that's like the worst. That's like the wrong option, but
Yeah,
they do it every time.
It is very funny. My region pops off whenever they see someone get up attack there.
Yes, he killed him. Yeah, absolutely.
Before main stage, I watched like every ledge trap guide I could find on YouTube. I was like, alright, I'm gonna try and get better. Whether it was like pro guides, Larry Lure, DeBuzz. I just kind of watched it as kind of like, alright, what are like the fundamentals of this stuff? You throw in the setups into that mix, and then, you know, all of a sudden it's like, it is scary. I think you take the fundamentals of ledge trapping and you kind of combine it with setups, and then yeah, it makes it very scary.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because I mean, I know a lot of people will feel not happy getting ledge trapped for a while, and then also if you have all of these extra things attached to it that no other character has, it can be very terrifying. Speaking of things that other characters don't have, obviously I think it's probably a common question. But how good do you think ice climbers are, / does it matter at all?
Because like, okay, you know, it is good could mean like, to me, like if you're gonna ask me like how good is a character, you know, if you were to take this character and you were to bring it to tournaments, you know, how well you'd place. That's kind of how I define like good, right? But good could also mean like, you know, if everybody knew what the heck they were doing, and you know, and you had to fight like every character, you know, how good would you think they are? Like how well would they do? And those are like kind of two separate questions.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think those are definitely two different camps of like, oh, theoretically, how's their matchup chart versus like, are you gonna win in tournament? Because of like the varying popularity of characters is a big deal.
I think in practice, it's a sliding scale. If you just start with ice climbers, they're gonna feel bad. Like if you just start, right, you're not knowing any matchups. You're running into, oh my god, you found a Sephiroth. What the heck are you gonna do? But then as you like kind of get better, you start to learn the matchups. You know your stuff. Your experience is going to be a lot more and like valuable than like other people fighting you. So I think they get a lot better as you go through it. I think like for example, you see the Japanese ice climbers, they've been playing forever.
Yeah.
And they've been popping off recently.
They've been playing really well because what is it? It's Kiwami A and Harasen, right?
Yeah.
They're crazy. But yeah, so I mean, I think that makes sense. Just being able to, it all depends, right? Because especially, at least it's my opinion, I don't know if you agree with me, but like almost, even if ice climbers are like the bottom 20 characters in the game, that's good enough because everyone in this game is insane, right? Like there are only a very small handful of characters that like, in my opinion, can't do it or like shouldn't do it any type of consistently. Because like for a long time I was an ice climbers hater. I think I put them like bottom 10 in a tier list one time. I was like, just they have so many bad matchups, and then you were like, shut the fuck up, ESAM. I was like, okay, sorry. With the gameplay, he didn't say that to me. He's very nice. I don't think I've ever heard him say something like that. Just for the YouTube audience. But like I'm starting to see how, especially their strengths are strong, and then the negatives can be overcome as the player, which I feel like you have been doing amazingly.
Yeah, I too think that every character can honestly do it, except maybe a few, but honestly, maybe they could all probably do it.
Peanut's mad nice.
Yeah, and yeah, so answer your question, maybe like they feel like high when you have got all that experience, but they're probably gonna start off feeling low. Yeah, I think that answers that. I've seen you do the death combos. This is impressive. I'm like, oh my god, you're better at ice climber combos than me.
To be fair, they take me hours for the most part. Like I'm like doing those for 3 hours to get it once, and I'm like, yes, never doing this again ever. As someone that I guess has a 9 to 5, do you feel like not going all in on Smash is ironically helpful because you can focus more on like the fun of it and don't have to worry like, oh god, what if I don't get sponsored, or like, oh, what if I don't win, because like that's everything. Like, do you feel like you have a sense of like stability so you can kind of just enjoy things more?
Yeah, there's ups and downs. I think the ups of it's not my whole world. If I had like the pressure of having to win or having to do anything, that would be I think a bit much. I've seen some friends who have tried to go that route, and it's tough on them. The other side of it too is don't get to travel as often, so when you do if you do poorly 1 month, and then it's like, well, it might be a while until your next opportunity.
Right.
Compared to someone who is probably going like every week. I do think having the 9 to 5 has been probably pretty healthy. I go to Smash. I kind of feel like it's another world. I'm a little guest. I get to visit and it's fun. But then back to life. It's definitely been good for the head overall. Yeah.
Nice. I respect that. As someone that went the complete opposite route, like I finished college and then was like full-time Smash. It's interesting to see the analogs because we're like about the same age.
Yeah.
I think are you like 29 or 30 or something?
Yeah, I'm like 28, turning 29 soon, so
okay,
you got it. But hey, you're killing it. You're like one of the few that actually like can do it.
I appreciate it. Do you feel like when you see all these top players like Spargo, Onin, Akola that are just like half your age or, somewhere around that, like teenagers, do you feel that there is like an obstacle because you are like older and your quote-unquote reaction time is worse, or does it not really get into your head?
That's never really gotten into my head. I feel like, funny enough, playing Ice Climbers has kind of helped against the youngins because a lot of them have never seen an Ice Climber.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I was like, I remember just going to regional, some up and comer, tearing it up, and then just upsetting players, and like gets to me, and like I can tell they just haven't fought Ices. It's like, oh, thank God.
I guess
so,
speaking of that, do you feel? And again, this is in no way meant to disrespect you because I'm a matchup checker myself. Like people don't know Pikachu.
Oh, shoot.
Well, they do now, which is annoying, but that's part of the reason I'm doing worse. Do you feel in some of your sets that you're playing that you're kind of just like, I don't know, getting away with more than you expect to when you play these like upper echelon players that like are revered as like, these are the best in the world, best in the country, and you're like, oh, you didn't know anything about this. Like, does that happen to you a lot?
I mean, I'm not judging them. I'm not like, oh, you should have been punishing that. But it's more like, yeah, when I travel, I'm not getting punished for stuff where I would get punished for at home. I think the best example is just fighting Jackal versus fighting Ouch.
And
it's like, I do a move and like I'm like, oh, he shielded it, time for me to get punished, but like no punish.
Right.
So yeah, there's the top players definitely don't play the matchup as well as they could. I don't blame them. It's just how it is.
Ice Climber sucks. It's all matchup inexperience, baby. I was right. That's the lesson of this video. No.
I don't know. I mean, there's knowing the matchup, and there's knowing the matchup well, and there's knowing the matchup really well.
Yeah, there's levels.
Yeah, so there's levels, and I think it's probably hard for them to know the Ice Climbers matchup well. Maybe they know it, but not well.
There's only a few really good ones, so
yeah.
I mean, again, completely analogous because there's like 4 Pikachus. That was one of the things that upset me when I had to play Ludo at Major Upset. I was like, of all the people that I have to play, that in a matchup I don't particularly like, I don't like fighting Mario in general, right? I was like, okay, Pikachu, you have H4 practice. If I decided to go Ice Climbers, you have Big D practice. And if I go Mii Brawler, you have FTP practice. I was like, this is so stupid. I was like, I don't have any matchups that I like versus you that I can like just kind of cheese. He's like, then outplay me. And I was like, fair. And then he laddered me at 30, which like, happens. It was very funny that just like certain regions will just have matchups on lock. Because like literally watching you inspires me to go back to just my Brawl lineup, just drop Mii Brawler and play Pika Ice Climbers, because when they feel good, they feel good. I played them at a local the other day, and I played them it happened to be against 2 Ryu players, because I was like, I'm gonna go Pika game 1 and then like whatever matchup is appropriate game 2. And then it was like Ryu, I was like Pika Ice Climbers, and then it was Snake player, and it was like Pika Brawler, and then it was like Ryu again, I was like Pika Ice Climbers. As a person that is now starting to play Ice Climbers, this will be the last question. As someone that is starting to play Ice Climbers more, what is your, I guess, best piece of advice for taking the character seriously? Besides watch all your VODs and gawk at how good you are.
Like, for example, in your case, I think it'd be like a bit different, right? It's kind of like...
Yeah.
My advice would be different for if you're trying to secondary Ice Climbers versus trying to main the character.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're trying to main the character, just full on do it.
Just 100% it.
And yeah, just 100% it, and then also a lot of it is, you know, learn your tough matchups. Just learn them. Don't press. Oh yeah, don't press so many buttons. Don't press so many buttons. I feel like
That's
that
what
is
I'm
like,
falling into. I'm realizing. I'm like, oh man, the
yeah,
buttons are like a little harder to use than it seems like.
yeah. Like I watch just some like really good ice climbers, and like they look faster than me. They're like sometimes I just watch ice climbers like, damn, this ice looks way like better than me. Like, oh my god, they look good. They're fast. They're like smooth. They hit harder. But I think the number one thing that I see when I watch is like, oh my god, they're pressing too many buttons. They didn't need. They pressed the button when they shouldn't have. They pressed the button when they shouldn't have.
Then Nana got hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just be very careful with your buttons. All right. The name of the game is getting close and then hitting them, and not getting hit. But don't get hit long enough until you get close. And the easiest way to do that is to be very careful with your buttons and not press so many buttons.
Move.
Move. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that goes for main and secondary. Just be very careful with your buttons.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and that is a great answer because I'm sure you are inspiring a ton of new Ice Climbers player. Again, I want to shout out, thank Big D for coming on to the channel. His stuff will be in the description down below, although I don't think he's particularly active anywhere. I'm still going to do it.
Thank you.
Do you have any last words or thoughts?
Yeah, no, this interview was really fun. It was a pleasure talking to you. You content, like, there's a lot of people in the scene that do content, right? Like for the commentators, the streamers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are like so quick and can point out observations or articulate things clearly. I'm always so impressed. So like, oh my god, you all inspire me. Not to say you're the content creator, because you're both.
I'm not offended. I'm only offended if Twitch chat says it. I'm not offended if a well-meaning person says it.
I think I'm trying to say is like, hey, your content's good. This was a great interview. It was a lot of fun. And I'm impressed with how articulate and well spoken and quick you are.
I appreciate it, and I thank you for playing me at Major Upset. It was probably the highlight of my weekend. It was incredibly fun, and also gave me faith because you've been kicking ass recently, and I was like, oh my god, I can like keep up with the player that's kicking ass currently. So that was a little good ego thing. But again, thank you so much for the interview. Comments, let me know who else you want me to interview. I can try to get stuff. I mean, again, Big D, very nice. So again, thank you for coming on. I wish you the great success in your future tournaments. I'm assuming you're going to Battle of BC.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to that.
You got it. Top 8. Easy dubs.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I appreciate it, dude.